Hello, lovely people. I'm doing another 100 in 100 video, and I've got my brother on FaceTime, so if you hear chit-chat or dogs or random people, that's why. So, when I can't sleep, I listen to true crime podcasts or documentaries. Since the use of DNA technology became common in solving crimes, investigators know to look for blood, hair, tissue, etc. But sometimes the DNA they find doesn't seem to match anyone. It got me wondering what would happen if someone who had had an organ transplant committed a crime and left DNA behind. Would they leave their own DNA or the DNA of the person who donated their organs? When an eligible organ donor dies in a hospital, the hospital does tests to check if they're a match for anyone awaiting transplants. If they are able to donate, the organs or tissues are removed, and then the deceased is released to their family for funeral services. This is done within 24 hours after death, and the organ or tissue transplant is performed as quickly as possible, usually within a few days. People that need organ or tissue donations are matched to a donor by blood type, height, weight, medical urgency, length of time they've been waiting, and distance from the donor. Types of tissues that can be donated include skin, heart valves, bone, tendons, and corneas. Organ donations. Yeah, you can donate skin for skin grafts for burn victims.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Organ donations can include lungs, hearts, kidneys, livers. No brain transplants yet, unfortunately. We'll get there someday, maybe. And you can also donate bone marrow. So let's say a child gets a severe burn and needs a skin transplant from a deceased tissue donor. Does that child then have that donor's DNA in that transplanted skin forever? Even after a transplant recipient has healed, donor DNA is still present, according to a study done by Waldemar L. Olszewski at the Department of Surgical Research and Transplantology at the Polish Academy of Sciences in Warsaw. His research team found that donor DNA can be transferred throughout the body. The liver recipient in their study had donor DNA in her blood, skin, lymph nodes, spleen, and heart, in addition to the donor liver, and as time passed after the surgery, the concentration of donor DNA in her body increased. It never reached more than 4% concentration at any point in this study, but it would be enough to show up in a DNA test of most tissue samples. According to Olszewski's researchers, their subject's immune system was absorbing the donor DNA and spreading it throughout her body. They theorized that macrophages, a type of white blood cell that circulates through the body removing dead cells, and dendrites, a type of white blood cell that monitors the body for pathogens, were primarily responsible for the absorption and distribution of the donor DNA throughout the body. This process does not appear to be related to graft versus host disease, which happens when the recipient's immune system attacks the foreign DNA in the new organ or tissue. Crime scenes that contain DNA will usually have some other form of physical evidence, such as footprints, fingerprints, clothing fibers, bullets and casings, etc. When DNA is tested, it could result in an incorrect identification if the person who left the DNA has multiple DNAs in their body. Therefore, DNA isn't quite the gold standard of investigation that it may once have been thought to be. I'm sure cases of this are very rare, though. Because, how many known criminals get organ transplants? We don't have studies on black market stuff, but it's probably not that big of a concern. But, the things you think of when you can't sleep at 3 a.m. and you're listening to My Favorite Murder. Anyways,
I think we also have to keep in mind that it sounds like that trial, that study may have been a case study.
I can't remember the exact number, but it wasn't just one person. They did it, a follow-up study at the same science center with dozens of organ and tissue people, and every single one of them, even 4 years after the transplant, they're fully healed. They never had graft versus host. They still have the donor DNA throughout their body.
Okay.
Yeah. It's crazy what the body does. Yeah. So my sources for this were myhealth.alberta.ca, Transplant Journal, International Journal of Legal Medicine, Wikipedia, Science Focus, medicinenet.com, and the book Introduction to Criminal Investigation, Processes, Practices, and Thinking by Rod Gell and Daryl Plekas. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time. Bye!